In this video, we're going to be talking about matrices. But first, there's a lot of vocab that we need to go over. So what is a matrices? So it is a rectangular arrangement of data. And it's just a more organized way to look at some data. So when you have this rectangular arrangement of data, it is done by rows and columns. What is an element? The element is one particular placement in the matrix. Okay, so matrices is plural. Matrix is one matrix, is one. So the element is one particular individual number in the matrix. So an individual data point in the matrix. Now, when you think about rows and columns, that's how a matrix is made up. It's by rows and columns. Rows go from left to right. So think about when you enter a theater, you go down the row, and a column is like, columns that you might have in the front of your house. They go up and down. So rows go, it is the horizontal element. Elements. And they go from left to right. That's how it's read. And the columns then are the vertical elements. And they go top down. That's how it's read. Okay? All right. Now, what does it mean when you have dimensions? Well, the dimensions of a matrix, it is identifying the matrix by the number of rows and columns. So it is identifying the matrix by the number of rows and columns. So let's look at this example. So Sue and Eva made a table of their science quiz grades. And that's just a lot of stuff going on in there. So this matrix is going to be, I'm going to make it easier. Sue and Eva are going to be my rows. And then for my columns, I'm going to have an A, B, and C column. And I'm just going to count. How many A's did Sue make? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many B's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many C's? 1, 2, 3. Eva, on the other hand, had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A's, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 B's, and only 1 C. So this matrix, Sue and Eva are the rows, A, B, and C are the columns. And remember, when we give the dimensions of a matrix, we go rows, then columns. So I have 2 rows and 3 columns. So this is called a 2 by 3 matrix, okay? All right, when you look at the elements, when you identify the elements, an element is just one specific data point. So one data point, rows, and columns. And it's used to identify a specific element where A is the row number and B is the column. So if I look at this matrix over here as an example, and I want to find the element row 1, column 2. Here's row 1, column 2. So 3 is the element. If I look at number 4, 3 by 2, row 3, row 3, column 2 is 9. Row 2, column 4, row 2, column 4 is 11. Row 1, column 3 is 1. All right, now if I have to reverse it and I want to find the element of X that corresponds to -5, here's -5. So what position is the row? It's the third row fourth column. So 3, 4. Let's do, where is 7 located? 7 is located where the row is 1 and the column is 1. So that's how you read the elements. It's one particular data point. So what are the dimensions of the matrix over here? So if I had to identify the dimensions of the matrix, it would be a 3 by 4 matrix. Okay? All right, flip over to the next page. Let's see what I'm going to do here. Go up. Now, can we add and subtract matrices? Yes, we can, but the matrices must have the same dimensions in order to add or subtract them. If they aren't the same dimension, you can't do it. You're done. And here's what we do. We simply add or subtract corresponding elements. And we know what an element is. That's one position, one data point, to create the new matrix. So let's take a look at example 12. All right, so here's A, B, and C. So first thing we have to decide is, do B and D have the same dimensions? B is a 3 by 2. D is a 3 by 2. So yes, we can add those. And I'm going to create a new one. And all I do is I look at the same position, 1, 1, and I'm adding, so that just means I combine them and I get negative 26. When I combine 9 and 0, I get 9. When I combine negative 5 and 1, I get negative 4. When I combine negative 1 and negative 5, I get negative 6. And when I combine 16 and 10, I get 26. And 2 and 9 is 11. So this is creating my new matrix only because they have the same dimensions. Let's jump down, or let's look at 13. So first I have to decide, am I able to do it? I have a 3 by 2 and a 3 by 2. So yes, I'm able to do it, but be careful here because you're subtracting. So if you look at this, you're going from B, negative 12 minus 7. And that gives me a negative 19. Here, I have 9 minus 19, and I get negative 10. Position 1, 2, I look at these guys, and I get negative 5 minus 4 is negative 9. Here, I have negative 1 minus a negative 6. When you have those double signs, remember, you want to simplify first, so you got to be careful. This minus a negative creates a positive 6. So negative 1 plus 6 is 5. So be careful when you minus a negative. 16 minus a negative 1 becomes 17. 2 minus a negative 2 becomes a positive 4. Okay, so be very, very careful when you have the subtracting one, because sometimes those signs change. All right, let's look at 14. First, you have to ask yourself if you can do it. So C is a 2 by 3, and B is a 3 by 2. Those do not have the same dimensions, so there is no solution. Okay, so I think you get the idea on that. All right, let's jump down to where it talks about scalar multiplication. So scalar multiplication is a matrix that can be multiplied by a scalar. And what does that mean? It is any real number. Remember, in algebra, we're only dealing with a real number system, so it's any real number. By multiplying the scalar to each separate element. So in this one, 4 would be my scalar. So if you look back to C, how am I going to do this? If you look back to C, maybe I can. C is, let me write it over here. Hang on, sorry for the delay. So C is 1, 2, 13, negative 8, negative 4, and 7. So I'm going to keep that there so I can see it. There we go. So C, I'm going to multiply 4 times 1 to get 4. 13 times 4 to get 52. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. 2 times 4 is 8. Negative 8 times 4 is negative 32. 7 times 4 is 28. So it still creates a 2 by 3. You're just multiplying it by whatever that scalar number is. I don't have enough patience, really, to drop those down. So tomorrow, we will go over 18 and 19 in class. So we'll do that together because this is more of a 2 and 3 step process, but I bet you could probably figure it out. If you have any questions or this is blowing your mind, come and see me.